So we knew that even though the banks had very limited penetration, less than 20% in terms of savings accounts, in terms of mobile phone, there were over 80% penetration. So for us, that was the simple math that we did in order to determine that this was the right service for our clients. Perhaps it was naive, but that was the starting point.
In any technology case, a lot of assumptions are made, but the bottom line is there must be a very strong business case. And that business case should determine what the investment going to be on that, what's the turnaround time that's going to take to realize any returns on that investment, so that there has to be some patience. Sometimes people say it takes a year to get there. Double the time or triple the time and see the implications.
It was important for Akiba to seize the opportunities that were coming up in the market, but at the same time being disciplined in how we evaluate the future financial projections, making sure that we're not just reaching out to more clients, but also doing it in a way that's going to be profitable to the bank, requiring that management go through a process of conducting market research related to a new service like mobile banking.
We need to ensure that the teams are built up, the technology side teams on one hand, the business teams on the other hand, and the clear steering leadership to ensure that things are synchronized, the left hand knows what the right hand is doing, and then together you can deliver on the project.
This was at two levels. That the human capacity was an issue at Akiba when we were introducing the mobile banking service. First, there were some people in the business departments of the management of the bank who were not completely convinced, and they actually had concerns about, is this service going to lead to an outflow of deposits from the bank and actually prevent them from achieving their performance targets? So they needed to be educated and comfortable with offering this service. They also needed to understand how this service works so that they could market it to clients. And then at the second level, it was at the client level, and the uptake initially was much lower than what we had projected. And that was primarily because clients did not understand the service, our staff didn't explain it well, and so we needed to actually spend more time and resources marketing the service, educating clients about how to activate that service and use it. Because it's not just about activating it and having access to the account, but it's also using it on a regular basis, which is what adds value for the client, helps them to better understand the service, and also generate revenue for the bank. It's important that there be an expert on the board in technology that can explain some of the concepts and ideas, especially in these new environments, in layman's terms, and so having a key person that can do some of that explanation, and with whom other board members are comfortable being open and honest about their lack of knowledge and experience in this area is important. If you have that expert on the board and they're not willing to share, or they take a condescending approach to sharing their knowledge with other board members, that can really shut down the discussion. So I think having that openness and a level of trust so that people can be frank about their lack of knowledge is really important. And also having that expert who can point the other board members in the direction of other sources of information, so that we're not just relying on one person, but that person can give us access to other sources of information that we can go and look at ourselves and have that independent review.
You do not have, and it will never be possible for a body to have all-around IT skills amongst themselves. But what is important is really to look at what are the obligations of any service provider, what are the contracts, what are the obligations of these consultants, and what are the implications on the institution, Are there any inbuilt penalties? Are there any built other costs that will impact the bottom line of the institution? And the agreements, contracts sealed properly, signed according to the services that have been agreed on to provide? And on the other hand, is the institution really prepared? Is management prepared? Is there a clear roadmap on sensitizing the customers, sensitizing the staff, getting the required buy-in so that collectively it becomes implementable?
The other lesson for me from this was it's important for us to have open, frank discussions when some members don't necessarily understand a new strategy or a new service. So having a space where we can have those kinds of discussions, people can ask questions and not feel afraid that, well, if I ask this question, how is it going to be perceived? That's really important. It's important for the board to understand how the management is viewing this, and if we perceive that the management is not unified or aligned in its understanding or its support for a service, we need to make sure that we put in place a plan for management to discuss and come back to us with a more aligned proposal. It's not just the ICT department or the credit department or the operations department that's taking the lead, but that there is a committee, a management committee that helps bring those department heads together and align them around the key objective.
The same benefits that I see that come to the client, to the customers of the bank, is the same benefits that I get. Saves me time. I don't have to go into the institution. I don't have to go into the systems to look. I run things from my mobile phone. I can get my balances. I can move money without leaving the spot where I am. Saves me money. It's more efficient. I get, information as to what's happening on my account without having either to walk over to the counter or to travel to the bank, even remotely, traveling away from my station, traveling out of the country. As long as I get connectivity, I can transact, and that I find very beneficial. So it's a technology that I do not only recommend to the customers, it's a technology that I believe in, and I've seen it working. It works, and I use it.
Yes, I definitely am a user of mobile banking services in both Ghana and Cameroon. For me, it's important as a way of paying my bills. I have electricity bills, water bills, the key utilities that I can easily pay without queuing for 2 hours at the electricity company. So to me, I value it as much as the micro-entrepreneur might value it. I definitely see it as a value add, and it's also important for me to understand this service because it is what's on the frontier for financial inclusion in Africa, and it's the way of the future. So for me as an investor, as a board member of several microfinance banks, I need to know what it's about and how it can add value for our clients.